The room was silent. Maps spread across the table. Weather reports were scattered, and generals were waiting. It was June 5th, 1944, and one man had to decide whether thousands would live or die. Dwight D. Eisenhower stood there, knowing one thing. If he delayed the invasion, the war could drag on for months. If he proceeded and the weather turned, it could be disaster. He didn't have the perfect information. He didn't have certainty. He didn't even have agreement from everyone in the room. But he had to choose. In that moment, he said one word: go. That decision launched what we know now as D-Day, one of the most important turning points in history. Now pause that for a second. Imagine if Eisenhower had what you have today. More reports, more dashboards, more expert opinions, more time to think about it. Would it have made his decision easier, or would it have made it harder? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. At some point, more choices don't help you. In fact, they paralyze you, and you don't notice it immediately. It feels like you're being careful, responsible, thoughtful. But what's actually happening is that you're stuck. And this is what psychologists call the paradox of choice. The more options that you have, the harder it becomes to choose. And even after you choose, you feel less satisfied. Now bring this back to your life. You are not deciding a war, but some days it just feels as heavy. Should I stay in this role or move? Should I speak up in that meeting or stay quiet? Should I take the opportunity or wait for something better? And instead of clarity, you feel the tension. So you open another tab, ask another opinion. You give yourself more time. I'll think about it. But here's what most people don't realize. Every single time you delay a decision, you're still making one. You're choosing to stay where you are. And that choice has consequences. Time moves. Opportunities moves. People around you move. And while you're still thinking, and when you finally decide, you don't feel relief. You feel doubt. Was this the right choice? And what if the other option was better? Did I just make a mistake? Because when you have too many choices, you don't just choose one path. You carry the weight of all the paths that you didn't take. And that is why even good decisions can feel wrong. Now here's something interesting. Some of the most effective leaders don't try to expand their choices. In fact, they reduce them. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day. Not because they lacked options, because they understood something most people don't. Every decision costs you energy, focus, and clarity. And if you waste that energy on small, unnecessary choices, you won't have enough left for the decisions that actually matter. So let me ask you something. How many decisions today actually moved your life forward? And how many just drained you? Here's the shift that most people never make. It's not that you need more clarity before you act. It's that action creates clarity. Eisenhower didn't wait until he felt ready. He made the best decision he could with what he had, and then he moved. That's how actually works. Not perfect decisions, but committed ones. But today, we've trained ourselves to wait. Wait until we are very sure. Wait until we are ready. Wait until there's no risk. And that moment, sometimes it never comes. So we stay in the same role, in the same patterns, in the same conversations we avoid. not because it's right, but because it feels familiar. And slowly, that familiarity becomes a trap. If this feels familiar to you, you are not alone. Most people in their 30s and 40s aren't stuck because they don't have options. They are stuck because they have too many options, too many paths, too many opinions, too many what ifs. So here is something I want you to sit with. What is one decision that you've been delaying, not because you don't know what to do, but because you're afraid of choosing? And what is that delay costing you? Because sometimes the biggest risk is not making the wrong choice. It's not choosing at all. If this made you pause, even for a moment, you want to stay with me on this channel because we talk about things that most people feel but don't know but how to say it, how to think clearer, how to communicate better, how to lead when things feel uncertain. If you're interested, I also have a communication course on Udemy where I go deeper into how to express yourself clearly. The link is in the description. And if this video gave you something to think about, consider subscribing. Because sometimes one decision changes everything. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.